All right. Great. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight to the Carroll Center's Stargardt's 101 Daily Living with Stargardt. I am Dina Rosenbaum. I'm the Chief Program Officer at the Carroll Center for the Blind and your host for this evening. We have a great panel of presenters joining us tonight. And we are thankful to having Acidian as our sponsor to allow us to provide this seminar tonight. It is being recorded, so we will send you the recording in a couple of days so you can re-listen to it or share it, or if anybody was not able to get on or stay on for the whole presentation tonight. So our first presenter is Kritika Singh. Kritika is a vision rehabilitation therapist and a certified low vision therapist at the Carroll Center for the Blind. She works in our independent living and rehabilitation programs, teaching individuals how to live independently and helps those with low vision find the best solutions to continue to use their remaining vision. For those of you who are not as familiar, the Carroll Center is located outside of Boston. We are a rehabilitation and education training center, helping those who have significant vision loss learn the adaptive skills and methods to learn to live with vision loss and provide them with adjustment training and support. We also have services for children. We just are ending our summer youth programs. We work with individuals out in the community. So we identify as serving persons of all ages and all stages of vision loss to lead fulfilling and meaningful lives. So I'm going to actually mute myself and turn it over to Kritika. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dina, and good evening, everyone. So my name is Kritika, and I will be presenting first. So I'm going to talk about some daily living skills with Stargardts or low vision. And the topics, the major highlights that I'm going to talk about today is some adaptations that one can do in their home environment and some daily living skills that we have to do day-on-day basis, what adaptations can be useful, and then quickly touch upon some small and basic assistive technology. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is adaptations that we can make in our home environment. And the first and most important thing that everyone can do is add some lighting. Lighting really helps to improve our functional vision. And there can be different kinds of light. It only depends what kind you need and what kind of task you're doing. It can be an extra desk lamp on your table. It can be an extra lighting on your kitchen counter. Sometimes a flashlights when you're searching for things in your closet. A lot of different kinds of light can be useful. When we are choosing light, we look for different kinds of light, maybe LED, fluorescent, and different kind of light source. Sometimes LED works for a lot of people, and sometimes fluorescent can be a good option for you. And a lot of time people like to use a combination of both or one, whichever they prefer. Sometimes using natural light can be useful. So if you have a window in the kitchen, you can orient yourself to that. If you have a nice window in your living room, you can maybe position your furniture accordingly. And sometimes light can also cause glare. So maybe position your furniture in a way that it doesn't affect your vision. So when you're choosing some lights, we have regular light option. You can just go and buy different kinds of bulb in a store. So I have a pack here in my hand. I don't know if you can see that in my hand when the screen is shared, but usually when you're going to the stores, you can get a box of bulbs and it will tell you a lot of information on the box, like what kind of light it's going to give you. Is it a soft white or is it a daylight? What kind of brightness it has. So it's mentioned on the box, like the box I have in my hand says 1800 brightness. It's a daylight with a pack of 4 bulbs. It's LED. So you can always choose the brightness level. If you really enjoy good lighting, choose something which is brighter than 1200 so that you can have a good amount of light when you're working. You can always choose some bulbs which have options like adjust the brightness mode. You can dim the brightness as per your need, or you can increase the brightness. You can also choose bulbs which has modes like within the same bulb, you can change it from a warm white to a cool white to a bright white. There are also special lamps which are designed for people with low vision. And we have lots and lots of resources in our low vision lab. So if anyone has questions, we can always discuss about special lamps for people with Stargardts or extra flashlights that can be useful. So the next thing that I would like to talk about is contrast. These days, everyone wants to make their house look beautiful and nice, and people are just choosing beige color, off-white color, or things which are in same color in their living room or in their bedrooms, which can be really difficult for people with Stargardts because then things blend in and it's difficult to differentiate them. So I'm not asking you to go and buy a new couch, but I'm just asking you to add more contrast. How can you do that? Maybe just add an extra different color pillow to your couch or add a throw to the side of your couch so it's easy for you to differentiate. Maybe on your dining table, add a dark placement on a light table or vice versa. Add more contrast, which can make things easier for you to see. I have a picture here on the side, which has a nice dark pink tray, a pink pillow on the couch, some flower pots. All those things can add more contrast and give you an idea when you're close to a center table or to your couch. You can always add more contrast to your door handles. You can have light switch covers in different colors that makes it easier for you to find the light switch. Uh, in our low vision lab, we have a dark black switch cover on a white light, which makes it much more prominent as soon as we enter the low vision lab to find it and turn it on. So there are some simple adaptations. I'm not asking you to go and paint your home, but just applying some simple things to add more contrast. You can bring contrasting plates in a bowl or a cup in your home. And when you're pouring coffee, instead of having a dark color cup, choose a light color cup. So when you're pouring coffee, you can still see the difference in the contrast. Just think about it and choose the option that can go best with your vision needs. And next thing is daily living skills, and a lot of things we have to use. The controls can be very small, the print can be very small to read. So we like to label a lot of things, and labeling is very important in our day-to-day using appliances. For example, even in our office, we have standing desks and there are so many controls on it. Sometimes can be difficult for you if you have a standing desk. Do you want to go up or down? You can always put a bump dot on the up arrow. So the next one is down arrow. You don't need to label it. Think about your washer and dryer. There might be many controls on it, which is difficult for you to see. Then put a bump dot on it. And we have different kinds of bump dots. There are some which have high color contrast, so makes it easy for you to find it. And then there are some transparent bump dots. So if you're sharing your space with other individuals who have good vision, you put a transparent bump dot on it so other person can see through it. And you can touch and feel the bump dot, and you can choose the control that you're looking for. For example, in your wash and dry, just put a bump dot on a regular cycle or cold water or extra spin. So you don't have to label everything, just label the most commonly used features. On your microwave, put a bump dot on 30 seconds, put a square bump dot on a stop button. So make options that can be useful. So sometimes simple labeling can be useful. Labeling can be in different methods. A lot of people like to really label a lot of stuff like their medications, their folders, their spices in the kitchen. And you might need a next step, then the bump dots. And then you can use audio label makers like PenFriend. PenFriend is kind of a device which it looks like a big thick pen and works with a sticker. So you put sticker on your spice bottle or your medication, and you can just record directions on it using your own voice, using your own method of direction. So you can label spices like this is paprika, this is cumin, this is garlic powder, onion powder. Or if you have more direct instructions like you made nice spaghetti meatball and you're storing it, just put a sticker on it, label you made this meal on Monday should be consumed within 4 days. So you have more directions, more information stored in audio labels using something like PenFriend. The next one is a little bit more smart labels. I know I've worked with a lot of people who doesn't like to hear their own voice on the labels and they just want to make things quieter. So the next label is way around. It can be a thing for you. Way around uses stickers the same way PenFriend uses it. You put the sticker on your food. You can put the sticker on your clothes. There are some washer and dryer proof tags. You can put stickers on frozen item. Anything you are thinking about, put the labels on it. The next thing you have to do is download an app called Way Around, which is accessible using VoiceOver. It's for Android and iPhone users both. You just put the phone close to the label. You will feel a vibration in your phone, and it says the label is ready to create a label. You can just add whatever information you want, create a title. Way around gives you more steps so you can be more descriptive. For example, you labeled a dress and you want to say this is a dress, a red color dress. It will ask you what kind of label is it? Is it a clothing label? You said yes. Then it will open up a list saying, do you want to add more instructions, how to wash it, how to store it? You can skip that part or you can add information if you're really very particular about your items. Same way, if you're adding a food label, it will give you best before date, expiration, storage directions, any reheat directions. And once you put all those things, it's comes out the time when you scan the label, everything is like, this is pasta with meatballs, made on Monday, should be consumed within 4 days, stored in the refrigerator. So everything will come as a combined information, but it's up to you, and it's another way of labeling things that you need. So label really help us to stay a little bit more organized, make it easier for us to find things, find controls on appliances, find your spices better, things in your freezer better. So think about some labeling methods that can be useful for you. The next thing, and we all like this, is talking about organization skills. Labeling and organization kind of goes together. So we need to organize things to make it again simple for us. So make dedicated spaces in your home where you're putting stuff so it becomes easy for you to organize them and find them when needed. The same way in the kitchen, you can use specific drawers in your closet, make some drawers dedicated for your stuff. Employ some drawer dividers or organizers to organize your jewelry, your watches, your ties, anything that you find are missing and you find it difficult to use. I have an image on this slide. The image is basically a tray, and we all love trays when we are talking about daily living skills with Stargardt. A tray help us to keep things organized and contained, whether we are cooking something in the kitchen, whether we are employing things to sort or organize, or we're labeling anything. The tray can be useful so that everything is within the tray. And this tray actually, this picture has a very good information of things that we just talked about. Contrast. It has a small cutting board and the tray is off-white color. The cutting board is dark blue color. And then there's a bowl which is green color with some white things in it. So it is adding a lot of contrast in it. Things are even organized in a tray in a manner so that if you are in a tray, you can dedicate places like 6 o'clock is my tray, 12 o'clock is my knife, 3 o'clock is my veggies. So you can have your own organization ways in form of clock face, You can dedicate top right, left, bottom right, bottom left, whichever way works for you. But trays are very important to keep you stay organized when you're working any kind of thing. You want to organize your jewelry. You want to organize your medications for the week. Anything, just bring a tray. These kind of trays are available online to purchase, or you can use any big tray that you have in your home just to do anything like organizing your spices, medication, anything like that. So start using tray. Maybe that will be your first step from today. Next, we are moving to daily living skills and talk about some adaptations in our kitchen. Kitchen, whether we like to cook or not, but we have to deal with lots of stuff in kitchen day to day. Starts with morning a cup of coffee, or maybe a snacks, or just packing our lunch for the work time. Or if you love to bake and you are more into the kitchen, again, a lot of these adaptive tools and techniques can be useful for you. So I have an image, a lot of different image on this slide. The first one I have is a cup filled with coffee. It's a cup which is white in color, as I was saying, with some yellow print on it and coffee. And on the side is a liquid level indicator. So what liquid level indicator does is it tells you when your liquid, anything, whether it's hot or cold, is almost there and you need to stop pouring. How it works, it has two prongs and a device. So the two prongs goes inside to the cup and you can hear the sound. So there are a lot of different kinds of liquid level indicator. There can be some musical ones which play music like this. There can be some which just vibrates, so you can bring it with you to your office. If you're pouring a cup of coffee in your office, you don't want other people to hear to the music. It will just vibrate on your cup, tells you that it is the time to stop pouring. And there can be some which have very loud noise in case some people who needs more hearing information. So there are different ones that you can get and have safe pouring skills. You don't have to put your finger in a hot cup of coffee to know when to stop pouring. Same way, I have a low vision cutting board here. A low vision cutting board has one side which is white, another side is black. So they are giving you high contrast on the two sides of a same cutting board. So you can flip it, depends on what kind of vegetable you're gonna cut. So this on this picture, I have a black side on with a white onion, a zucchini, and a red bell pepper. And it's a very good contrast. You can flip it, bring it to white side if you are working on an eggplant appetizer. So it just gives you more contrast, have extra lighting on your kitchen counter, and this can be some useful and basic tool for you to have in your kitchen for day-to-day meal prep. I have some measuring cups on another image here. These measuring cups are like regular cups, but they have a very large print on the cups telling you what size of the cup is. Then they have white color measuring cups and they also have a black color measuring cup in the same method. So if you are a baker, like to bake a lot, I would suggest go for a black measuring cup so that you can judge how much flour you have or how much sugar you have. Gives you a very good contrast when you're using a dark measuring cup rather than a white one. And I know I've worked with lots of seniors, they really love their white measuring cups, but I'm telling you, the dark ones really works better with you. So think about it. And same again in the kitchen, adding some bump dots to your appliances, adding bump dots to your oven control to know where the bake button is, where the stop button is, and just the temperature button. You don't have to label everything on your oven, just label bake and stop and temperature buttons, and then you're all set to bake your next dessert. So labeling can be useful, and we have lots of other tools. There's another thermometer. Again, if you are a person who enjoys cooking, there are thermometers like regular thermometers, but this one talks to you. So I have one here. I'm just gonna press it. You will just put this regularly, like the regular cooking thermometer in your food, and let it there for 5 seconds and press the button. It will tell you what's the temperature.
77.0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I hope everyone hears it. This thermometer also has a big screen and an option to turn the lights on. So if you are a large print user, you can also just read the thermometer temperature by turning the lights on at the backlight and reading the large print temperature which is displayed. So it has a large print display, extra light on the display, and it has a talking option. So again, there are more options. If you don't like things to talk, you can choose something with a large print display on the thermometer too. This thermometer has all those features, so all in one. So in kitchen, this is just a start, and the more you want, and we can have more information for you maybe next time. So let's talk about the next one I have is some assistive technology that can be useful in day-to-day basis. So magnifiers, you can use magnifiers depending on your visual need. It can be an optical magnifier, the one with the lens. It can be an electronic magnifier if you have a electronic magnifier given to you by your eye doctors or your low vision therapist. Maybe employ it to read directions on a box, read direction on your medications, any information you want. And if you're an iPhone user, you have a settings in assistive um, thing where you can turn on a built-in magnifier in your iPhone. For Android user, there are some free, nice apps from some companies that provide you good magnifier settings. How the magnifier in your iPhone is different than your camera. When you use your camera, you can take a picture, you can zoom in or pinch into zoom to see the information. Very good. But then you're adding more stuff to your cloud memory or your phone memory. But when you're using the built-in magnifier in your phone, you're just freezing the frame. It also gives you option to change the contrast. So now if you like a black background, white text, or a black background, yellow text, or yellow background, white text, so on and so forth. It has all those options in the built-in magnifier. And same way the other app on Android gives you all that option, which camera does not. And any screenshot that you're taking using the magnifier will not be saved in your memory until you wish to do that. So as soon as you close the magnifier, that information is gone and you're not using up any phone memory. Some other things that you can use are smart home devices like maybe an Alexa or maybe a Google Home or Apple HomePod. These devices are very useful to be in the kitchen. You can ask them to read a recipe to you. You can create a grocery list. So if you're cooking something, you find that, oh, I'm running low in milk or I need to get bread this time, just ask your smart device to create a grocery list and keep saying, add bread to my grocery list, add this spice to my grocery list. And you can keep adding to that. And as soon as you're done, you say, just send this grocery list to my phone and you will receive it. Of course, there are some steps when you're doing it, but these are some simple things that you can have. You can add appointments, reminders, timers, a lot of things using the smart home devices like Alexa or Google Home. Some assistive apps like Seeing AI or Be My Eyes are another very good options to have. Both the apps are free of cost and they work pretty well. So I have Seeing AI in my phone. Seeing AI can be used with voiceover. It can be used without voiceover too. So I'm just going to open Seeing AI in my phone. Seeing AI has lots of different channels at the bottom of the screen. The first one is short text. As soon as it sees any text, it starts to read the text. The next one is document. So this will be very good to hold on top of a full page document. It will assist you if any of the edges are not visible, like left edge not visible or right edge not visible. You will just move your phone a little bit. It will take a picture on its own, and then you can just listen to it, or you can zoom in to read the directions. Same way, it has a product one, which is loved by almost everyone because you can scan the barcode of the product, whether it's a frozen product, whether it's a pasta box, whether it's any other thing that you are planning to make today. Just use this product channel, scan the barcode. If it's a pasta, it will tell you this is elbow pasta, boil it for 10 minutes or 12 minutes for al dente. So it has options like where you can get cooking directions from the box too. And this app have multiple channels like that. You can identify currency, you can identify colors, a lot options like that. So I would suggest you to download this and maybe just give it a try, play with this. It will not harm you. Just see where it can be helpful for you in day-to-day basis. The next one is Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes have two major options, and they both work very well with lots of people. So it has call a volunteer. So someone on the other side, which is a sighted person, will get your call and you can ask them any questions. This is completely free of cost. The person on the other side is a volunteer. So you have to be careful what kind of information you want them to assist you with. But let's say you are picking up a outfit.
Cost recognition due to inactivity.
You're picking up an outfit for interview, but you just want to make sure that it doesn't have any crease or folds, or it should not have a stain. Call a volunteer on Be My Eye and say, hey, I'm going to wear this for an interview. Can you just tell me if there are any stains on my dress? Or do you think it have lots of like folds and creases? Or does it look perfectly fine? If you're finding it difficult to match your two socks together, maybe ask them like, are they both gray color or white color, or one is gray or one is white? And they can assist you with that. Anything you think about, the other side, the volunteers are really happy and nice to give you assistance with. Bima AI recently also added their Open AI feature in which you can just take a picture. If you really don't like to talk to people, just take a picture of anything that you're looking for, and it will give you a big description about that picture. Like, looks like there's a red dress on a hanger. The red dress has floral print on it, and it's on a hanger, hanging on a door. But the information can be too much sometimes, or it can be the way you wanted it to be. So there is an option of Be My AI and Be My Eyes too. So again, this is a free app which is available for Android and iPhone users. Seeing AI is also now available for Android users. So if you're an Android user, now you can have Seeing AI in your phone. So give it a try and see if these apps can be useful for you. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me on my email, which is kritika.singh@carol.org. And I will just give it next to Dina.
All right. Thank you, Kritika. Wow, that was a lot of great information. I'm glad we're recording it so we can go back and listen to it again. Some of the daily living products that Kritika shared with us today are available to purchase from the Carol store. I know that's not why she picked them, but they're typically common, useful items, and we do make it easy for people if they want to acquire them. We're going to hold off on questions because I'm mindful of everybody's time. So it's my pleasure to introduce two individuals who are persons who actually have Stargardt and have been living with Stargardt, just to share what things they might use or things they do in their daily life that they find useful, either apps or adaptations or techniques that they use, or low-tech or high-tech devices. Some of them might be what Kritika shared, but I'm hoping they might have some new solutions as well. So our first is Jack Duffy Protonith. I'm going to have Jack have you introduce yourself because you have this great background and history at the Carroll Center and career. So take it away, Jack.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my name is Jack Duffy Portentis. and I was diagnosed with Stargardt's in the third grade, so about when I was 7 or 8. And from there, it was certainly a journey. Nobody in my family, close or extended, had ever had any sort of vision loss or even legally blind. Just glasses at the most, really. So it was certainly a journey that me and my parents both went on. I went in blind. um, so from there, we started reaching out to organizations, including the Carroll Center, where I attended doing the Carroll Kids, and then Carroll Teens when I got older. Um, and then just learning how to uh, take all these skills and apply them in the best way that works for me. Finding some of my own skills. um, from there I ended up going to Worcester Polytechnic Institute, which is an engineering school. I got my degree in mechanical engineering. And right now, actually, for the last 3 years, I've been running my own startup. We're developing electric jet skis, and just sort of continuing that extension of just kind of making things work for me. um, so yeah, that's a little bit of me.
Jack, can you talk a little bit about, I know you're a avid cooker and you get HelloFresh.
Mhm.
Maybe talk about some of the adaptations or products you've discovered from the measuring tape to, things that you had found useful in your journey through vision loss.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to the daily living aspect of things, certainly, I have large print measuring cups. When I make HelloFresh, which I love, and what I'll do is I'll take a picture with my iPad, which I can blow it up big. But additionally, in the iPad, you can do a selection of the text, and it can read the text to you. So I'll have it read the text to me, and then I'll look at the images, see kind of how they want me to do things. Um, I'll use my phone, using that magnifier app, to set the oven, or um, you know check a measuring cup, whatever it might be. Um, I have a couple different types of cutting boards. I have a dark wood one and a lighter plastic white one. Um, and then just other things like on my computer, I use Zoom Text, which I really like. It's a screen magnification software, but also a reading software. And it has this great feature that I love, which is hover to um, speak. So instead of reading everything, I can kind of select what I want it to read to me instead of it reading the entire screen. um, and then even just in going through my schooling, I found when studying, getting big whiteboards and using black or dark blue expo markers, and I'd talk to my teachers or professors, and I would do the homework on these big whiteboards, and then I'd just take a picture of it and submit that, and that was my homework, instead of having to transfer it to a piece of paper or whatever it might be. Now I have this big, nice, easy text. Because I also found erasing on paper would also, it usually is a residue, and it can make things a little tricky, versus a whiteboard. When you erase it, it really does go all the way away. You can kind of trace your work back. That was another really good thing that I used in school. I would use, actually, ironically, Zoom before Zoom really took off. To do screen sharing. So my teachers might be doing something, a PowerPoint or whatever it might be. So I would zoom their screen, and I could see what they were doing, or they might send me the PowerPoint beforehand so I could follow along, whatever it might be. Sitting close to the screen, and close to the front of the class, which I know can be a little nerve-wracking. But I mean, the critical thing is you know there's nothing wrong with getting help. And I know it can be, especially with something like Stargardt, it can be a bit easy to kind of hide it and blend in, and I think that's maybe some people's kind of default, but you know what, once you really start getting that help and getting the tools that you need, and you know, talking to the places that can help you, like the Carroll Center and other organizations like them, um you know, once you get those tools, life just becomes so much easier. And you know, getting the help that you need, there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah.
And with Jack's work, he also got a audio speaking what's
Yeah,
it called?
talking tape measure.
Talking tape measure. So, you know, to Kritika's point, there's a lot of tools that help with daily living. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, even, you know, I have a talking thermometer, so if I'm not feeling well, you know, I can check my temperature and speaks it to me.
Great. Thanks, Jack. And let me introduce Barbara Duffy, Jack's mother and our Director of Development Grants at the Carroll Center, who joined us as well. So I like that you're adding. If people do want to start putting questions in the
I do have
Q&A.
one, I do have one after Josh speaks. I do have one.
Okay, great. Yeah, but if people want to add some more.
Yep.
So thanks, Jack. I really appreciate your sharing and just sharing the challenge of but the benefit of really accepting that these tools can really help you as well. So my pleasure to introduce Josh Lipsey. Josh is from outside the Boston area, so I'm going to let him introduce himself and give a little background and hopefully share maybe some new tools or techniques that he's using, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I just asked before I get started to make sure everyone can hear me clearly, because traveling, I'm actually in Airbnb in Costa Rica, so I'm not quite sure how great my internet connection actually is. Can everyone hear me great?
Yeah. Yeah.
We can hear you. I think your bandwidth is affecting your video, but we can hear you.
Okay. I'm just going to go camera off just to keep the audio as clear as possible. So, yes, my name is Josh Lipsey. I'm 24 years old from Baltimore, Maryland. I, of course, have Stargardt's disease as well, and was diagnosed similar to Jack when I was, I believe, 6 years old. I want to quickly give a shout out to my sister, Emily Lipsey, who's interning with the Carroll Center, and also mention that my older brother has Stargardt's as well, so he could have probably participated in this as well, as we have so many shared experiences. I went to the University of Maryland College Park and received a master's in accounting. And now I currently work at PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a Big Four accounting firm, as a financial markets associate.
Uh-oh. Josh?
Yep.
Did we lose you, Josh?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Am I good to keep going about daily?
Yeah, you went in and out, I think, so you might need to rewind a little bit.
Okay. I'm sorry about the bad connection. From Baltimore, got a Mac, and I'm currently Pricewaterhouse, which is for a firm in Washington, D.C., financial markets associate, going on my second year starting here shortly.
Oh, I think he's going in and out. Josh, you might want to turn off your screen because I think it's on again. And try that. Yeah, we're kind of losing you, Josh.
Uh-oh.
This case, I
Yeah,
can send a little 10-minute recording in.
All right, we can hear you now. Yes, no?
If it's impossible, if the internet connection is too poor, I can just send in maybe a little recording.
We can hear you right now. Let's just try it again, and if it stops, then we'll go to Q&A.
Perfect. Sorry, guys, about the.
All right, so we got your background. Maybe you could just share some techniques of things that you're using that really help you. I mean, your career is a very visual career, so maybe even share anything that you're doing on the job.
Perfect. Yes. What actually has saved my career or made it successful in the beginning, to reiterate what Jack said, was not pretending that I can see things. I think that's something that I did in high school and that really hindered me, but learning to just accept it, be proud of who you are, all cliche things that your parents tell you, they really do matter, because the second you stop putting energy and attention into all of the tactics to hide not seeing something and focus on finding accommodations through your network, I think that's when you truly are successful. For me, what makes my career be what helps me a lot the most, I would say, is screen sharing. Something that if you're in a boardroom and there's a Zoom meeting on, I'll join it, have it up on my laptop, so I can see it and take notes while it's going on. If I'm sitting right next to someone and we're collaborating on an Excel document. Most things these days are done in a shared format, whether that be an Excel, a Word, a PowerPoint. Everyone's collaborating on it simultaneously. So instead of having my manager over my shoulder pointing at my screen when I'm all zoomed in and they get nauseous, we'll sit down next to each other and I'll share my screen or he'll share his screen. And there are ways, which I've found through trial and error, that I can zoom in and not have my boss see it, so that he's seeing a normal screen, I'm zoomed in, we're collaborating right next to each other. It's in real time. And whether you are on a Windows or a Mac, because I know every job is different, they give you different technology. There are ways to share your screen and not have them see the Zoom, or have them see the Zoom, depending on what you want. And I think just working that out throughout my first year of my career has really made a huge difference.
Wow, that's great. Do you want to share like one or two other things, just kind of daily life kind of adaptations that you're using?
Yes, I will go as long as my Wi-Fi permits. So one thing that has been a huge game changer that I put off for a while was a monitor arm at my home office. I think once you join the workforce as a young adult with Stargardt, if you don't invest in something that holds your monitor up and close to your face, bad posture is something that really creeps up on you. I think when you're a kid and you're a teenager, it doesn't seem like it's going to be important, but your neck will kill at the end of a 60-hour work week if you were hunched over trying to read a laptop. So I think committing to, and this is again something that at the office, it might make you stand out, it might make you look a little bit different if you have a monitor and you're so close to it, but it's something you got to do. I think that has been a game changer. Similar to Jack, I also use food delivery services through Instacart. I'm constantly ordering from places like Aldi. I use a feature where it's just buy it again. So normally I get most of the same things, the basics, and then I'll switch out a few things. And it gets dropped off at my door, and it is EBT compatible for anyone that is on EBT for groceries. There's a lot of places that you can use the EBT with the food delivery services. So that's something that I take advantage of. Transportation to get to and from work, Metro daily. I use the app on my phone to navigate my route ahead of time. I have the physical Metro card on my phone because it used to give me to have to go and load money on it in the place because I can't see the machine to add money. But nowadays you can have a card on your Apple Wallet. You can add money straight from your phone. You can plan your trip out from your phone. And then there's also discounted Metro rides in many major cities. So you can actually get for having Stargardt, 50% off or a discount at least in many cities like New York and Washington, D.C., depending on where everyone lives. Transportation, food. I think that was a lot of points. I want to say as well, like Jack has reiterated, the importance of building a network. I think socially, finding accommodations socially, for building a better network at work, and for learning about the most up-to-date accommodations, having a network of people that have similar experiences as you is very important. And professionally, for example, for work for me, I joined the Abilities and Allies, which is like a little diversity and inclusion group when I started my job. And through that, I had a couple of different people that I could reach out to if I ever had a problem, which made the speed of getting an accommodation quicker, because something can come up out of the blue if you join a new team or there's a new thing that you have to do. So having a network, I think, is very important for work and socially outside of work. I think the faster that you just, be proud to be who you are and take advantage of these accommodations, so that you're not for me, I think in high school, I tried it so much, and then once I got to work, it's sink or swim time. So you kind of have to there's no more getting passed along. You kind of just have to accept it. Like Jack was saying, and that's, and I think when the most change will happen. And like Jack said, of course, don't be afraid to ask for help if anyone needs it, such as resources such as the Carroll Center. And I can stop there.
Yeah, that was great, Josh. I know there's a few questions, but you
Yep.
mentioned something that I want to ask both you and Jack to maybe comment on. And that was, you mentioned the benefit of being visually impaired or legally blind and having access to like free Charlie card or the one you're using down in Maryland or DC. Are there any other services through like a state agency or federal that you are using that are available to you because you are blind? So either Jack or Jack, do you want to start?
Yeah. So, I know in Massachusetts, in the Boston, greater Boston area, there's a service called the Ride. And basically it's an MBTA extension. And in a nutshell, it's 24 hours in advance, you can call them, tell them where you want to go, what time you need to be there. And then they'll let you know, time that they'll have a vehicle there to come pick you up. So they'll pick you up, they'll drop you off. And then they've also just introduced kind of a subsystem of that called the Ride Flex, which if you use the ride enough, they start crediting you $40 rides on Uber per month. The amount can vary. They usually start you off at 3 a month, and then as you use it more and more, the number can increase. So then it's a $3 cost and then up to $40 ride. So that helps out a lot in Boston for sure.
Great, thanks. Anything else different from transportation? Were you going to add something, Josh?
Yeah, I was just gonna add on to that. I used to use a service called Taxi Access, I think it was called in Maryland. It could be something called differently now. Similar, it was like a severely discounted ride sharing service. Now I mainly use Uber, hoping one day get some type of discounted Uber for the blind. That's amazing. But for now, like I was saying before, in many cities you can get up to 50% off every ride if you're blind. And then if you can't use the metro at all, like if it's totally unusable to you, then you can get, like, for example, Washington, D.C. will offer another ride share service where they'll pick you up and drive you places for totally. And I think it's something different, but it's both through the same thing. So it's either like, if you can still use the metro, you'll get a discount, and if you're totally unable, then there are other ways. So there is always a solution.
Yeah, and even to add on to that, depending on where you are in the country, if you reach out to places like the Carroll Center, or if you probably have a commission for the blind in your state, they can also help direct you to, whatever services are relevant to the area that you're in as well.
Great. All right, thank you both. Barbara, do we want to go to the Q&A?
Sure.
You want to share some of the questions with our panelists? Thank you.
Yep, so, excuse me, one of the questions, I'm gonna ask Josh this question. Do you introduce the fact that you have a disability in the interview process?
That's a great question. It's something that I went back and forth on for so long. I do check the box. Normally on an application, there's a box that says if you have a disability, and it's a simple check, yes or no. I do check that off. In the interview itself, so I've only had the experience really of not in-person interviews, because I started my full-time right after COVID. So it was all virtual, Zoom call interview processes for me specifically. So I didn't necessarily say anything until my first day when I started, because once I'm in person with you, there's no hiding it. So you have to just rip the band-aid off. But in the interview itself, I don't know if it's necessarily a necessity, because it doesn't hinder your work at all. If you feel obligated to say something, totally fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. But I think as long as I would say something the first day, that's how I went about it.
Great, thank you. And Jack, I'm gonna ask you this, but I know, because I know that Jack has a guide dog, as does Josh. So the question is, does that increase the socialization and community support that you alluded to, both Josh and Jack? So if either one of you want to answer that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I absolutely think so. That was one of the major driving factors behind me getting a guide dog was, though I can't see the stairs, I know that, especially with a cane, there's just sort of this weird stigma or whatever you want to call it, where people just kind of get a little more uncomfortable around somebody using a cane. But I came to the realization that if you have a guide dog, people are just kind of more comfortable and excited to be around a dog. So that ends up being, I find a much warmer, inclusive, and people are more willing and comfortable coming up and talking to me and asking me questions, and they don't feel as awkward, I guess. So that's only one of the major driving factors as to why I decided to go with the guide dog.
Okay.
And then I actually do not have a guide dog, but something I do want to give like 2 second story on the socialization aspect. A couple weeks ago, I was at work and I was, zooming in, looking at a screen how someone with Stargardt does, and a girl walked up to me and asked if I needed help with what I was doing. And she's like, "Are you an intern?" And I was like, "Haha, no, I have this visual impairment where I'm legally blind, so this is how I actually use the computer." And her response was like, "Oh, that's so cool, mad respect." And she walked away. And it was like all these things that I built up in my head for so long really boils down to something that someone looks at for 2 seconds and is like, "Oh, that's super cool." And then the band-aid's ripped off and the socialization is so much more normal. You don't have to, just allowing people to know ahead of time so that when they walk past you in the hallway, they don't think you're just some rude, quiet kid. The more people that know, the better. And the guide dog, I think, really, is just the easiest way to let everyone know.
Mhm.
Yeah, and actually adding to that, even to this day, I still struggle with this aspect, but when it's quite frequent, I'll be in a social situation or work or whatever it might be, and um, somebody's talking to me and I don't know who they are, and it's really hard to be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are," because I think kind of traditionally that's a social faux pas. But I think just usually when you're like, "Listen, I'm sorry, I'm like, it takes me a while. I have to learn people's voices instead of their faces. Could you just remind me of your name again and like where we met or whatever it might be?" People are more than happy, like, "Oh yeah, no problem." Like they don't get offended. They don't mind. So, but that's something, still even to this day I struggle with, but it's always something to work on.
Okay, I have another question. Could either of you speak about your experience with the Reboka app and any tips or tricks? It's the person who wrote the question. It's spelled Rebokeh. Now, I don't know if they mean Roku. I don't know, but that's the way this is spelled. So I don't know, Critica, if you've ever heard of that. The Rebokeh app.
I think it's an app for like socialization, and it's only
Oh.
for people who have low vision or blindness.
Mhm.
So that's all I know. I haven't used it, but I've heard about it. And I
Okay.
think I think it's everyone's choice to be on an app or a different platform for socializations or dating apps. Maybe Jack and Josh can share some of their experience with the apps that they prefer or the media that they prefer for these kinds of stuff.
You want to go first, Jack?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, in terms of social media apps, I quite frankly don't use too many. I think it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, in my opinion, but I will use some Facebook groups. I'll use Discord frequently, as well as Slack and WhatsApp, to have group chats with people. I do overall find group chats fairly arduous, so I can't say I keep up to date with them. But that is some of the some of the apps that I do use, at least to keep up with friends and try and make new ones, I guess.
Okay.
I also I also unfortunately don't use the most social media anymore these days. I think the tricks that I kind of use socially are very old school, I think someone would say. Like for business meetings, I'm always the first one there. For example, if there's a 7 a.m. meeting, I'll be there at 6 just to make sure that like Jack said, there's a bunch of people there that I've already met before, and then I walk in, and I'll walk right by them and sit down. This way, they know me, so they'll approach me because I was there first, and then slowly the crowd will start to form around me, and that it all takes preparation, I think, and something that are things that I would say socially help me the most.
So apparently the person who asked the question about Rapoco is new and has contrast, zoom, incredible, and invented by a visually impaired individual who spoke at the FFB conference. So something for everybody to learn about. Another question is, how do you keep a positive attitude each day?
Josh, you want to go first or me to?
I think you could good 1-2 going.
Yeah. So, I think there's a couple aspects to it. One is, just sort of, and it's a valid thing, especially when you're first diagnosed, is to go through the 5 stages of grief. It is a loss. But getting that acceptance is obviously certainly easier said than done. But just sort of it just sort of is what it is. And you can either try and fight it and not accept it, or it again, it is what it is. So looking at it like that, but also there's nothing wrong with having a day where you're like, yeah, it does suck to be blind today. Like, it's a bummer. And, it's an unfortunate thing that and those are valid feelings to have. So it's certainly tough, but relying on friends and family, you know trying to get out, and just trying to kind of, don't you own it, don't let it own you, I guess.
Sweet, and I can give a little bit on that. I think what makes me stay positive every day is striving towards the goals that I set, and then also having like an undeniable stack of past things that I've accomplished and things that proof that I can do what I know I can do. So being successful at work and seeing that take fruition when it was something that I was nervous about, I think makes me happy. I think keeping the mindset that there's always a solution, no matter what the problem that you're experiencing currently, knowing that there's always a way out of it. And that's, no matter what your visual acuity is or what you do for work, the current struggle that you're facing on a day-to-day can be overcome. I think believing that so deeply, and watching it come to fruition and watching yourself accomplish the goals that you set out, and reaching high and seeing all of it come true, I think is what gives you the positive attitude. And sometimes in the beginning you got to fake it until you make it. But like we said, not being, if you're not experiencing the total joy of every day currently, asking for help and getting on the right track, being consistent, learning all of these tools, and then seeing yourself be successful, like you can be, that will make yourself happy every day. Hopefully.
Great. Are either of you aware of wearable assistive technology?
Yeah, so that's actually something I've been recently diving into. I'm actually planning on trying to demo some in the very near future. I think it's a very cool technology. I've demoed some already. In terms of me, especially for doing prototyping and things of that nature, the ability to zoom in on things, as a wearable. If I'm using a chop saw, bandsaw, whatever it might be, it has in the times that I've tested it, seem to be very good. And also just in terms of a personal aspect, um, there are wearables out there that, you can plug into your TV and it streams your TV, and you can basically be in the front row seat of a movie theater, but you're sitting on your couch, and then you can kind of have that more enjoyment of, you're not, I think me and Josh have known each other for a bit, so I know he growing up had the blind chair, which was the chair that's right up in front of the TV. And they with the new technology, it allows you to sit back with your friends, with your family on the couch, be more comfortable. And it seems like a very good thing, as well as ones that also just do reading for you as well. I know there's some out there that do that. So I've been, like I said, I've been starting to dive into that world, and getting some. So yeah.
Thanks. Josh?
Yeah, totally agree. I think when we were younger, Jack and I, the wearable technology wasn't quite there yet. It wasn't at the point where it could replace any of the other accommodations that you were kind of already relying on. I think there's a turning point happening right now where it's starting to have use cases that actually justify the price tags on some of these, like Apple Vision Pros that are, a few $1,000s. I watch the YouTube videos, learn about all the features and try to stay up to date. I haven't purchased any like wearable glasses, whether that be like the iCam or I forget what some of them are called. I've tried them on about a year ago, saw firsthand how much they have been improving. And I think within the next 5 to 10 years, we're all going to be wearing some type of accommodating glasses for sure.
That's great. Josh,
Actually,
sorry, Jack, go ahead.
just quickly to add to that, with those videos, I want to kind of give a suggestion and shout out to Sam Severy, who also has Stargardt, and he has a YouTube channel called The Blind Life, and he goes over not just wearables, but all different types of adaptive technology, portable CCTVs, handhelds, and he has Stargardt, so he has that firsthand experience of saying, this does work, this doesn't work, here's what works for me. Obviously, everybody is different, but it gets you a bit closer to understanding of what you think might function for you. He does very, very well, very good in-depth videos.
I just added Sam's name and the name of his YouTube channel in the chat. Josh, somebody wants to know, how do you share a screen so that others do not see the zoomed screen?
Great question. Love it. This took me months of trial and error. My job first started with a PC. I didn't have Zoom text, so I actually went over to the Mac, which is what I grew up on. If you're on a Mac and you're using Teams, Zoom, Google Meets, kind of any collaboration app, if you when you click the share screen button, it'll give you share the entire screen or share just a window. And if you share the entire screen on a Mac, everyone will see every time you zoom in out and that's if you're zooming in with the built-in Mac Zoom software. If you share just a window instead, obviously you're going to be locked to that window. So it can make it difficult if you're jumping around all of the time and you're trying to share your screen, because then you're going to have to unshare your screen and reshare every time. But if you're just sharing a PowerPoint, or you're staying in a Word document, or the window can be an entire the internet. So if you're doing anything, just and
Whoops, we lost you, Josh.
can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
And then if you're on a Windows device, like Jack mentioned, Zoom Text or JAWS or Fusion, which is Zoom Text and JAWS, those applications, when you share your screen, no one sees it no matter what. I think it's just the way. That's why those softwares are so expensive. So there is a solution for both Mac and Windows. Mac share a window solely, Windows computer, Zoom Text, because the built-in Zooming software on a Windows computer is pretty terrible. I would say the Mac has it beat with built-in on the Windows.
Thank you so much. Okay, I have a couple more questions. Do either of you know, or does Kritika or Dina know, are there any professional organizations for people with visual impairments?
I guess the question's, what do you mean by professional organizations? So
I'm
there's
thinking,
There's the
Right.
American Council of the Blind, which is a consumer group organization, if that's what they're thinking about. And then the National Federation of the Blind are the two major consumer groups.
Mhm.
And then on the professional side of people who work in the field of blindness, there's the Association of the Education and Rehabilitation of Persons Who Are Blind. So people like a Critica or me would belong to that as a professional. And of course, there are many professionals who are also visually impaired. And then there are a few other groups that are a little more targeted. You know, like there's a group for O&M specialists. I think both ACB and ACB, for example, has subgroups for like guide dog users or certain types of professionals. So there are definitely ones out there. I don't know if Jack or Josh belong to any other ones.
Okay. I've got another question, and I think there may be one more after this, but
We'll
did
wrap
you,
it up. Yeah.
did you learn Braille? If so, do you or did you use it?
Yeah, so I actually did learn Braille. In high school, I managed to get it counted as like my language requirement for college. I can't say use it extremely frequently. You know, sometimes there might be a sign in the building that I might read. But you know, I think it's a good thing to learn in case you need it. You know, that like it'd be easy for me to pick back up versus, you know, if the time arose where I do need it and having to learn from scratch, you know, might take you longer and it might be a little bit more of a time hindrance, I guess I'd say.
Josh, how about you?
I actually never fully learned it. I tried when I was a kid for a couple weeks reading the Braille with my vision. Something that I sometimes regret.
Before I turn it back over to Dina, I just want to let all of you know that we're actually going to have an in-person conference for people with Stargardt. It's called A Journey Through Vision Loss, October 19th in Newton. So mark that on your calendar. You'll all get an invitation. But I know from the Stargardt Summit that we had in February, there was just a lot of really great networking and meeting of others with Stargardts. Anyway, I don't have any more questions, Dina, if you want to
Great.
wrap.
Thank you, Barbara, for managing our Q&A. And yes, I was going to also talk about our October 19th event at the Carroll Center, probably from 10 to 2. Isidian, our sponsor of today's webinar, is going to talk about some research that they're doing on cures or halting of the progression of Stargardt. So that's going to be in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we'll have some more hands-on sessions of adaptations learning and definitely a luncheon socialization. So if you're in the Boston or New England area, we'd love for you to come. And as Barbara said, more information will be forthcoming through email to you. So if you were local, we'd love to see you. I want to thank all our presenters, Critica, Jack, Josh, Barbara for helping facilitate tonight's event. Lots of good questions, lots of good information, again, recorded for your viewing again or sharing with other individuals. We're all available if you want to reach out to me or through the back to the email that you got through the Carroll Center if more questions come up or if we can help you in any way, whether you're local or not. We have resources and connections, and we're happy to help guide you in your journey and get you the right services and get you connected to the right professionals who can assist you on this journey, because nobody should struggle alone. And certainly both Jack and Josh commented on how important it was to connect with others who have similar vision issues and be able to learn from each other and have a support network as well. So thank you again for being with us tonight. And we hope to see you again in the future. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Nice talking with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.